Hey, how's it going, universe? Welcome to another episode of Zoobox, a podcast about nonsense, much of which you are about to hear, and apparently people didn't want to show up to work today. Just me and Michael down at the office, down at the old Google headquarters, grinding.
Putting in the work.
Putting in the work. These guys they think, yeah, you go on vacations. What, you don't got cell phones? No? Can't hide away in a closet somewhere? Shameful.
I don't know.
It's fucking shameful. That's what it is.
So, what's going on in the world?
I don't know. I have no idea. What's going on in your world? I watched some He-Man today.
He-Man, what's that?
You know He-Man, the old cartoon?
No, I don't know.
You don't know who He-Man is?
No.
Oh my God, Michael. I want to show you a picture of He-Man.
Yeah, but I might know him, but you have to understand, I didn't grow up with a lot of
Well, actually, you know, it's funny. I didn't really grow up with He-Man either. It's like a toy.
Well, I didn't grow up with a lot of TV, so that wasn't.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Let me show you. If you see a picture of him, you'll probably recognize him. I'll throw a picture on the old screen there. Yeah. So this is He-Man. Let me get it one.
Oh, okay. I know who this is, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, he's a gay icon. Not really. No,
this
he's
guy's
just
in he's in the little teddy bear movie, Ted.
No, that's Flash Gordon.
Oh, okay.
See, Flash Gordon
look alike.
Is a little bit like a He-Man-esque kind of character, kind of sort of. Around the same time, Flash Gordon's an old serial from the 1940s and 50s. They were the kind of like the little shorts that you would watch before a movie. So if you went to the movie every weekend, you could go see the next part. So they'd be like little 10-minute movies, and they'd be like 6 parts long. You go to the movies a bunch of times, you get to see the whole story. But
I see.
But He-Man was just it was a cartoon show basically invented to sell children toys. Like the Transformers, G.I. Joe, all of those cartoons were made just to be commercials for toys for kids.
I had no idea about that. Now, the He-Man, is that a comic? Is it a comic book?
I think they've probably done comics of it, yeah.
But it wasn't originally.
No, originally it was literally made to sell toys. They literally were like, we're going to develop a cartoon to sell these toys to kids. The 80s, the mid 80s.
Okay, yeah, I've never seen He-Man, never heard of He-Man. And honestly, that was that was probably never going to be allowed in my house because it looked like it had some provocative things in there.
No, I mean, well, honestly, actually, you guys probably would have got away with this. It's a lot of good morals.
No, I know, but what's the lady dressed like?
The lady, what's her name? Tila? Let me see if I can find a picture of Tila. I think she's pretty modest. I mean, I'm trying to find one from the 80s.
Because,
okay, it's a little provocative, but
yeah, but that stuff wasn't really allowed. I have to understand.
If they were not wearing pantsuits.
I had to hide comics. One time my dad bought me comics from this antique place. It's just a box of them.
Yeah.
And my mom, that would never be allowed in my house.
That would be too much? Too risque?
Yeah, that's way too much.
Well, it was funny because actually when I was a kid, my parents were not super, not as strict as your parents, but we definitely still give a sideways glance if there was something too provocative or scandalous or whatever. And I remember because I used to read fantasy novels, my dad's old book.
Yeah.
So they were kind of the things that came after Lord of the Rings, those kind of books, the genre that Lord of the Rings basically started. And on the cover, they would always have chicks like that.
Yeah.
Dressed like that with the short skirts and the old-timey gear and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think my mom even maybe ripped the cover off one time. She's like, it's okay if you read it, but this picture is too much. Yeah, actually, I brought it to St. Benedict Center, the school that we went to as a kid. And I got in actually, no, that's what happened. My parents actually defended me. I got in trouble by brother Andre. He took the book from me. I was in 3rd or 4th grade, and he wouldn't give it back until my parents gave it back. And I was just I ended up talking him him into giving it back to me because I was like, you don't want my dad to come down here and get this book from you. He's like, yeah, I guess. Just don't bring it to school. It's inappropriate.
Yeah, but see, so that stuff, like those kind of things, I could never have that kind of, like, I had to hide comic books of like Conan and stuff that I got from like this antique show, and I hid them, and I just would look at them, and then eventually jerk off to them.
Oh, of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, because that to you, that's like looking at a Victoria's Secret mag. You're just like,
Yeah. Oh, there's none of that in my house.
do you think it awakened something inside of you?
What do you mean?
Did you go through a period where you enjoyed cartoon pornography, Michael?
Well, they're like cartoonish, but they're kind of like realistic at the same time.
Well, it depends on the Conans you had, because they had some Conans that were very much more like traditional comic books, and then they had some from like the 70s that my dad actually had as a kid, and they are like super realistic.
Yeah, I got like the ones probably from like the 70s. They were pretty realistic.
Yeah, they're all like based off of the name of the artist is Frank Frazetta, and
I don't know who the artist was. I just remember looking at them and scrolling through them.
I just remember looking at them and pulling my pud. And just having a good old wink.
I've been thinking a lot about the St. Benedict Center and like how it all started and why people started it. And like, I was talking to Ryan, and Ryan's like, yeah, I don't know, like what he's gonna like. He's having a daughter, and he's gonna be a father, and where he's gonna put her in school and things like this. But what I was telling him is that like the people that started the St. Benedict Center, right?
Yeah,
they had the same problems that we're having with society now. Not the same problem, but they thought things were going to be the downfall of society, like homosexual marriage and like pornography and like the TV and cable.
Yeah, they were trying to build like a parallel culture, something to combat what they thought was out in the mainstream or what was coming down the pike in the mainstream and try to get ahead of it, right?
Yeah, but that's the same kind of. We're like in the same boat as they were, because when we're thinking about it, we think that what's going on in society in a way it's going to wreck our children.
Well, I think that potential is always there, right? It doesn't matter what time period you lived in. I'm sure there was always people that were cautious about that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And maybe every generation in its own way has been correct, but maybe their prescriptions, maybe the way they went about trying to react to it or the way they reacted to it wasn't always the best. Because you have to have like a more of a long-term view of things rather than just like immediate. Like you could solve it for today, but what happens, like St. Benedict Center, perfect example. So they start off with good intentions. It starts honestly in a very weird note anyways, because they're like a commune and they were like group raising children and they all gave up parental rights and stuff. There's like a lot of weird stuff that happened with those people at the beginning.
And which one? The one in Mass?
Yeah.
So the one in Mass started first, right? The one in Massachusetts?
Yeah, it was Still River. Is that what it is?
I think so.
Yeah.
And so it started off like that.
Yes, it did. That was like not Brother Andre, the old guy, the old one.
Yeah, I know who you're talking. I don't know his name. The professor?
Yeah, because they were all like intellectuals. They were all Catholic intellectuals, and that's what they decided to do. But what I mean is, like, they didn't have a long-term view of where it was going. Like, what were they doing in the long term? What were they building towards? I don't think anybody had a very clear vision. So that's why you end up in the place you end up with them in the more modern context, where it's very dysfunctional. Or at least it had been in the past when I was there. Maybe it's, ironed itself out now. I don't know, honestly.
Well, I don't think it's nearly as strong, and it's not like I don't think it's like people don't live there like they used to.
Yeah, where everybody like moved.
Yeah, and like everybody that went there lived basically right there, either on that road or in that vicinity or like in Richmond area.
Yes, at least the very least in Richmond. Yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of them lived on that road where I don't, it's not like that anymore. But my point is that you just have to, like, I was like, for me, I'm always just like, I don't want my kids to be too sheltered, and like, they're going to have to experience the world. And
Well,
And
I think this is why, and we've talked about this a few times. We've gotten into some arguments before with Dan,
yeah,
but it's like it's about your level of involvement in your children's life and how they view you. Like you got to be somebody that they are comfortable with talking to about their life,
yeah,
and you need to encourage that because if you don't, you see it all the time. Kids just go the other way. They become incredibly rebellious, or they shut you out in a way, and you don't even know any better. You don't even know what the fuck is going on. You don't know what they're learning in school. You don't know who their friends are. You don't know where they're going, et cetera, et cetera. So when you try to overcorrect, like you said, shelter them too much, then you're going to have a very negative reaction to that a lot of times. But
yeah,
and I think the
and
only way to combat that is developing a healthy family dynamic.
yes, and the other thing is too, it's just like it's hard to kind of, at least for me, it's hard to know what they're teaching is correct or not correct in the sense of like just even with like history, because I never really had like history, like
Yeah, I got you.
not like really, like
Mhm.
I just kind of know, I've never had history basically.
Yeah.
History, because in the beginning ages of my education, like history's not there in the beginning really.
Hmm.
It's a little bit, and then it was just and then to college, and I took some like world histories, but I don't have like a real understanding of how America was founded. I do, but I don't.
Yeah, you have like the cliff notes. You have like what most people have, and I think even I would fall into that category. Like I'm not the most well-versed person in history about like history or geography or any of that. Those are definitely weak points on mine, and it's something that now that I'm older, I take a more of a proactive kind of tact with it. Like I try to actually learn about that stuff to
Yeah,
try to
because history
internalize it.
seems like the one thing. Obviously, it's easy to tell them about biology and stuff. That stuff's a little easier. It's more straightforward. Like if they're teaching
Yeah,
them some
it's
kind
not
of
it's not based on somebody's perspective of what happened. Like it's not
yeah,
somebody's like because every even the history, even like say good history, better written history and stuff is still kind of skewed in a way. Like there's really
yes,
it's really hard to go find like just like factual data because a lot of time you're relying on the material that made it through the ages. So if you're trying to learn about something that happened like 2,000 years ago, you're kind of bound to what you can find from that era. A lot of times, that's like personal writings, personal journals, firsthand account stuff, which is not always the most reliable, honestly. So what you have to do is try to get as much as you can, and then you have to kind of cross-reference it and kind of make a judgment for yourself, which again ends up being another skewed version of history, because then it's going to be filtered through what you took away from it. So there is, I
yeah,
don't think there's really a perfect, perspective on it, but I think at least, at the very least, the basic facts have to be there. Those are objective. There's basic facts about, yes, this happened at this time, et cetera, et cetera. And, uh,
yeah,
and nowadays we're seeing people kind of push back against that to try to kind of reframe, recontextualize, especially American history, to kind of
yeah. See,
suggest that it's something much more nefarious or weird than it really was.
and that's where like I'm weak on with like the biology stuff. I could be like, okay, um, you know, it's easy to break down. There's only two genders. Like you can break that down. It's science. It's right there. That's easier. But with history and like American, how they try to like teach it, it's harder to because there's so much there. It's harder to, and I don't really know it, so it's harder to kind of
Yeah,
make sure that
there's so much stuff to sift through, right? And that's what
yeah,
like so when you get a history textbook, that's from a person that has sifted through thousands of documents and tons of material to try to distill it down to its most essential basics.
yeah. And then they have Google now, so like if you go to like sometimes with like my daughter Raina, like you'll like tell us, and then she'll be like, "No, I'm gonna look it up on Google."
Yeah. Yeah.
But Google, as we know, like Google's not always like gonna give you. They're gonna give you like what they're not gonna give you the whole truth all the time on everything.
No, because there's people that work that are ideologically positioned. They have their opinions about history, and that's kind of what they funnel you towards. It takes that extra step. Like Wikipedia is not a good source of information. Like, not if you're trying to be serious and learn about stuff. It may be good just to look up something on the fly or whatever, but that
Yeah.
has been completely taken over by crazy people. And they go in there because it's an open edited thing. Like, anybody can go in and edit a Wikipedia page, and there's supposed to be editors there that, like, quote unquote, work for Wikipedia. It's a nonprofit that flag stuff. It's kind of a community driven thing where you're supposed to keep everybody honest. But we know that the people that actually really have the control have an ideological position. They have a worldview that they try to support through the articles on Wikipedia.
Yeah. So how do you get to the point of like, okay, so if you look up like Karl Marx or like communist and things like this, you just type it in on the internet, you're gonna find like two different things. You're gonna find one that's like super pro and one that's like super against it.
Which is, honestly, that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but how do you, like, if you try to teach them that, okay, this guy was not like this type of system's not really the best system.
How do you prove that to somebody?
Yeah.
That's hard. I mean, that's hard. And communism is always hard like that because it's so nebulous. It's so slippery.
But my point is because it sounds good, but
Yeah.
they haven't taught this to any of my kids yet. But this is what I'm worried about. They're going to start teaching them this kind of stuff, and maybe not even the school that they go to, but maybe just other parents out there might have to deal with this.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, everything.
So how would you combat this?
That just comes into your personal involvement, and then you have to educate yourself. You have to be just as savvy as your kids. So as your kids are going through school, like, you got to pay attention to what they're learning, and then you kind of have to go in the background and do your own research and do your own stuff. I learned that when I used to babysit these two Russian kids, and I used to help them with their homework and stuff. And all the time, we were always looking stuff up. You kind of got to make it like a group activity. Do it something that you do together, and you kind of discover things together. It makes it fun. And also, while you're doing that, like, you're also teaching them to be critical thinkers. Like, okay, well, we read this source of information. Let's check this other one out too. Let's see what this other perspective is. And they get to have that experience with you, and they'll probably take that experience on into their private lives when they're by themselves looking stuff up. But you have to plant the seeds to be like a critical thinker about the things that you hear, and especially not to just assume that an authority figure or a perceived authority is correct. You can't just like well, it's my teacher said it. Like, why would they tell me something that's wrong?
Yeah, and that's the scary thing because kids are like that. They're just like, oh yeah, no, the teacher said it's correct. That's right.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Or Google or
most
Google.
people. Yeah, exactly. Any perceived authority, anybody that says that, like, I'm in charge, I am an authoritative source. Everybody's like, oh, okay. Well, yeah, I guess. They're trying to, like, morphing into that. Honestly, it's just like we live in a very weird world and a very odd time right now.
Yeah, it's a very odd time because, like, on one hand, like, the internet was supposed to be like enlighten everybody and give people like the truth, and it did that for a while, but now it's kind of making everything fuzzy because you don't know what the truth is or not the truth.
Yeah, because everything's kind of centralizing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the way corporations work or anything. Like, everything's becoming giant conglomerates where, like, Google owns a ton of things. Even if it's not called Google, Google probably still has a hand in it. Facebook the same way. There's Facebook, the social media site, and then Facebook owns like 50 little mini things. They own Instagram, they own stuff like that. Like, they have all these little tendrils out there. So there's this perception that you're on different platforms when you're really not. You're really not. You're really all still in that same control web.
Yeah, and it's just weird that it's I don't know. For me, it's getting harder to like figure out what the truth is, what isn't.
I agree. I have the same problem. Like, how the fuck are you supposed to ever know? How are you supposed to know? Like,
I don't know.
We're not experts. Like, we don't have backgrounds, and like we don't have access to the same materials that some people have. It's just we don't have those things.
And that's like the thing for me where it's like, how do you know if it's, for me it's just it's always hard to figure out Well, okay, if what I'm reading here is correct or not, or if what's going on, or if that's like even something in like the news, like you read one news and it's way different than the other one of an event that happened.
Yeah, it's all noise.
So you
It's
don't know which one is true, which one isn't.
I think that it's you got to treat it like everything else. You have to try to go to as many sources if you're really interested and you really want to know. You're going to have to go look around. You're going to have to do some work because they're not going to do it for you. They're supposed to do it for you. They're
Yeah.
supposed to lay out the information, show you the citations, and you could go look deeper if you wanted to. They don't do that. No, they just
No.
present you with the answer to something rather than just presenting you with the information to try to inform you. That's not what they're doing. They're just saying this happened and this is how you're supposed to feel about it, and that's wrong, in my opinion. You know.
Yes, it's weird.
And people that went through the public education system, kind of like we were talking about, right? Assumed authorities. They're trained to believe that. They're trained from the time you were a little kid to just accept something you read because you think it's authoritative. A lot of it, that's how people are.
I have a question for Dan here. Well, Dan's not here, but I have a bone to pick with his theory on the anarchy stuff.
Well,
Because,
I think we have a lot of
well,
bones.
if he listens, the thing is that if Dan truly believes in anarchy, then he should be totally fine with these platforms like deplatforming people and like kicking them off.
Yeah, I mean, in a certain respect, because you're just like, well, they're a private enterprise, and they should be able to do that. And in theory, that's true. But the problem comes with when people make, it's kind of a meme, it's kind of a joke, like, oh, go build your own Twitter, go build your own Facebook. Well, when people try, they get fucking shut down. And they all of these other platforms work in concert to shut them down. So now we're not dealing with like this open free market thing where people can just go and be entrepreneurs and create the next thing and do it the way they want to do it. No, they're not. People aren't even allowed to. It's like it's insane.
Something here. I can't.
Good. Hello. Check.
Try talking.
Check.
Okay, I'm good.
All right.
It went out for a minute. Yeah, no, but I don't know too much about anarchy or what it is, but isn't it just where that would be allowed?
Yeah, no, I mean, it would be. It would be.
Like, you could have all these corporations coming together to not allow little ones to grow.
Well, that's my contention that at some point you just end up in the same system. It's just going to be organized different. But in fairness, it's not something I am super read up on or anything. I just have kind of basic practical questions about it. But it would be hard for me to like speak authoritatively on like what anarchy actually is or what it would look like. I mean, because you could go and nitpick it all day. It's feels very easy to do, and a lot of the times when we get into conversations that we've talked about on the podcast is that there's a lot of assumptions about what human beings would do, like about human behavior, and that's where I always hit a wall. I'm always just like, I don't like have the faith in just like the everyday person to want to engage in that way, or even be and not be taken advantage of by more shrewd people.
Yeah, because
I mean, which is similar to what happens now.
Yeah, well, that's the point I was going to say. Even with what we have now, there are shrewd people taking advantage of it.
Yeah,
and we have like monopoly rules. Like we do have these kind of rules set up where companies can't just they can't just monopolize an industry. Well,
yeah, but we've seen the line constantly move though.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, so we have these rules that they obviously get moved. But if these rules were never there, it was just like an anarchy state where you basically do whatever. It would be the same thing. This would be happening.
I would think so, because I think people that want like power, control, that's not going to change. And then you're going to get very powerful people that are going to get together to help each other maintain their positions. That's going to be very similar to what we have today. Unfortunately, like our system is so corrupt that it almost is kind of working under some sort of pseudo anarchistic model, I suppose. But like I said, like I'm not enough of an expert, or I'm not well read enough on it to like really have a serious position on it. Like it's hard for me to like really argue against, other than when I hear people like make assumptions about human nature. I'm just like, well, I don't see how that would, like, if we complain about the way people act now, like in the world, and how people have mob mentality, and some people are crazy and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, well now you're gonna still have that stuff,
Well,
and then you're gonna like, and then you're gonna
they would say people wouldn't act crazy because there would be bigger
yeah,
consequences, I guess.
more
But
stakes. Yeah, which is a possibility, I suppose. But
I
what
don't
are
know
the
what the
stakes?
bigger
Are we gonna
consequences
go
would
back
be.
to like a real like fucking regressive, just fucking shooting people we disagree with like type shit? I mean, like, what does it actually look like? And like I said, in fairness, it's something I would like to go, at least for conversation, and to be fair and be fair to Dan and stuff. Be more like, read up on it some more. So maybe there's something I'm missing. Maybe there's a key component that hasn't been like said to me, or something that like
Yeah,
would
I don't
make the
know. I don't.
puzzle, make it all come together. Like, I don't know.
I
Maybe.
all I know is just the basic idea of it, like what is. But that's it. I don't know anything else.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
That's all I know. I've never read anything about it. I don't. But it just, from the basic premise that I know, it doesn't seem like it would work.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know like how you could take the society and culture we have right now and like say tomorrow we're an anarchist state. Like, I don't see that working out very well. I don't. But that's why it's something that would happen slowly over a long period of time. Like, because this, not to say that like the way the system we have right now, is it forever? Probably not. It's been around for a few hundred years at this point. It's going to evolve, it's going to change. We just have to hope and try and be proactive in guiding that change for something that's a little bit more fair. Because obviously shit has just gone off the rails with, like I said, corruption and the influence of the corporate entities and whatnot. It's they're not looking out for the best interests of like the average person.
No, and is it? I don't think it's necessarily our system that has failed. See, that's where I'm like, when people want to like change our system, or nobody's ever bringing up a better system, and then second of all, it's like, I don't think our system has failed. It's obviously gotten corrupt, but any system is going to get corrupted.
Well, that's what I mean about like maybe it's kind of in its current state has run its course because now it's unsustainable. So something has to happen to fight back against that. That's kind of it's like a natural thing. It's not even that crazy it's just like people have this, when people talk about this stuff, they think like, oh, you snap your fingers, it's going to be different. No, it's going to happen slowly and incrementally over like the next 100 years, like whatever it is. So you're going to want to try to build a coalition that will influence and guide it in a more positive direction.
Yeah, the only thing is that obviously our system's changing as we speak right now, and you're saying it's going to go slowly, but it could change in the completely wrong direction.
That's what I'm saying. That's why people need to be proactive. Like in their government, in their local governments, people need to be proactive. Like, if you just let the crazy minority control whatever town or city you live in or whatever, that's kind of on you to a certain degree. Like, you have the same access, you have the same ability on a local level to go to town meetings and have your voice heard, and like, just don't be a fucking crackpot. Like, you can run for like local positions in government. You work your way up through that stuff if you want to, right? And
Yeah.
you have to encourage like thoughtful people to do that stuff.
Yeah, but it's also like, it's not like, okay, your local stuff, but it's also at the federal level too, where you have like the Speaker of the House, talking about banning people and all, and free, and it comes into a question of your speech and, are you, free speech and things like this. So it could go in a complete opposite direction where you don't have those things. You don't have free speech anymore.
Yeah, you're right, and that is like definitely a concern. But I think that's why we have to find a way to siphon power away from the federal government. And I think, in my opinion, like the best approach to that is to start small. It's kind of like what Jordan Peterson says. Like, how can you expect to change the world when you haven't even like cleaned your own room? Like, you got to
Yeah.
take care of your business, your communities, your towns, your family before you can even imagine, because that's insurmountable. Going after the federal government is an insurmountable task to, like, to even think about. Because, like, where do you even start? Where do you even fucking begin? The only real control we have that over that stuff is, like, you got to pay attention to who's running for Senate, who the governors are. You got to try to elect people that will actually combat the federal government. Because, the federal government can try to do whatever fuckery it wants. If you have good governors and good senators, like, they will fight back for your state. Like, so that's what I mean.
Yes.
Like, you got to be back on a local level. They'll take these people to the Supreme Court, need be. And
Yeah. But it's just, I guess like the thing that I'm taking away is that the federal government's got to get smaller.
yes, and the only way that's going to happen is if, like, you start, like, locally, even, if you even want to go broaden out to a state level, you have to have good leadership in your states that aren't going to allow the federal government to do that stuff. They're going to say no, and they're going to challenge the federal government's mandates and opinions.
Like here in Florida.
Well, that's a good example, right? DeSantis, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
DeSantis.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very much like, well, this is our state, and we get to kind of choose our destiny. Like, we're not going to allow the federal government to tell us what to do. It's unconstitutional.
Yeah, that's awesome. I wish more states would do that.
Yeah, there's
Because
only like a handful of states that are even willing to go there. Yeah.
because I think it's better that way. I think if the states kind of run themselves, it's much better for everybody.
Yeah, of course, it's better for your personal freedoms, for your civil liberties, for just your quality of life.
Yeah.
Like that's the problem with the federal government. Like, they cannot provide answers for the lifestyle of people in all 50 states. Like, they can't do that. So when they make this sweeping legislation that affects everybody nationwide, oftentimes that is not a prescription that works everywhere. And then people really fucking suffer for it.
Yeah.
You know? That's my opinion. That's how I feel about it, because I don't see realistically, pragmatically, like, in the world we live in right now, a better way to move forward. I just don't see a different way. Like, you could hate the system all you want, and you could want it to change, and you could want to abolish it or whatever. But the reality is, it's probably not really going to happen. Not in the way that somebody might want it to.
No.
So you can't skip to a world where it's already happened and then start, like, brainstorming about what it's going to be like. It's like, no, you got to deal with the world you live in right now. And if you want to work towards that goal, even if say you wanted to get to an end game where you abolish the government anarchist state, right? That was your end game. You would still have to take the same path that I've suggested to get there.
Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of, like, I don't, for me, that doesn't even, like, to abolish the system doesn't even seem like I'm not even for this at all. Because, like, to even do something like that the consequences would be horrible.
Well, that's the thing. It would be in my opinion, it would just be, I think it could be very bad. A lot of people could really get fucked up. And then you are ruining generations of human beings.
Yeah, which I'm not for. I don't want to do this.
Well, that's why I think you have to go in slowly. Even if you were to, even if you were to, your end game was to be in an anarchist state or whatever, like, doing it slowly, incrementally, where people can actually, like, make the adjustment, like, in their personal lives and the way they do business and all this stuff, like, making those adjustments. If you do it incrementally over 50, 60 years, then you don't even realize it happened. Like, and then you can avoid a lot of, like, chaos and hardship and stuff.
Yeah, and then, okay, so if you look at our history, when it was first written, our independent, all this stuff, when it was first designed, the system that we live in, that was way different than the system that we live in now, obviously.
Well, yeah, because it's evolved, and it actually evolved pretty rapidly. Like, in the beginning, because they figured out, like, oh, okay, well, we need a mechanism for this, and we need something to take care of that. Because they weren't psychics. It's an experiment. Like, they call America the grand experiment, and that's true.
But that system that we had when it first started,
I mean, it resembles, in a bare bones sense, kind of what we have.
You think it does?
In a very like rudimentary way, yeah. We've built upon it though. I mean which is a normal, natural thing. We've and not and obviously at some point we started building upon it in ways that were kind of counterproductive, and it became a bureaucratic nightmare.
Because it seems like that system, that was a system where people were actually free.
Well, freer.
And it doesn't seem like we're free.
Well, relatively speaking, we are. Like relative to the globe.
Yeah, but in the sense of like, we don't have rights. Like in the sense of like, the government can just come into my house if they wanted to.
Well, I mean, I guess, yeah.
Or the government could just hack my phone if they wanted to.
Yeah, yeah. No, those things are wrong, and we should be fighting against that legislation, those types of things. I mean,
so but the system that they developed in the beginning, that would never be allowed.
well, you got to remember, it was a different world. I mean, the world was different. Like the needs were very different. The population was a lot smaller. Like I said, it was a very rudimentary version of what we have today, and we've expounded upon it. And maybe in some ways, obviously, especially like the federal government, which has been more of the thing that's happened in the past like 100 years, where it's like really been like power grabbing like crazy since like like the end of World War I, basically.
They can just do whatever they want to.
But that's what I mean about like you have to empower your governors and stuff like that to actually stand up for what their constituency wants, what people in their state want. Because that's the only way you're going to get around that. It's the only way in the system we have right now, however imperfect it is, that's really all you can do. That's really all you can do.
Yeah. But that's the stuff that I'm, that's like, I really don't like that kind of, I just want freedom. And I don't feel like I have freedom if I have that.
Whoa, anarchists.
No, that's not an anarchist. Because
no, I know it's not. I'm just joking.
Because the federal government or the government in general should not be allowed to have access to my personal stuff ever, unless they have some kind of evidence that I'm doing.
Yeah, because now we live in like what you call like a form of a police state where everybody is just assumed to be guilty at all times.
Yeah, like, or even if, like, I should be allowed to Google and look up whatever I want.
Yeah,
and not have to worry about the federal government.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, do you think it would be like? Here's what I'm saying: if you wanted to know how to make a bomb, I don't want to know how to make a bomb, but I'm just saying, if you did, do you think you should be allowed to Google that kind of stuff, or not even Google it, just internet, just go on the internet?
Well, you can. That's there.
You can.
Yeah.
But will that send up flags?
Probably depending where you find it. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess it's a cost-benefit analysis that you have to kind of think in your head. I would obviously skew on the side of it being okay. But at the same time, a lot of crazy people out there. Yeah, although, people have access to that stuff, and there's ways to. And if you were very serious about being a terrorist or whatever, you could get around people looking at you if you really wanted to.
Okay, well, I don't.
You go to the dark. You go to the dark web, which is just kind of it's kind of like the guts of the internet. It's like going to the back of the store. Like we're all in the front of Walmart.
That's like the new internet.
Well, no, the dark web's been around for a long time, forever. A lot of fucking crazy shit on the dark web. There's actually a cool documentary. It's a good introduction to it called the Silk Road.
Where is it on? What platform?
I don't know. I don't even know if it's on a platform right now. I'll look it up for you. But
because I don't even know anything about the dark web.
It's just like
I understand the basic concepts of it, but I don't know how people are accessing it. I don't know how people get into it. Have you ever been on it?
Yes. It takes you 2 seconds. You have to get a Tor browser, and then you basically just get on. It's it's like super rudimentary. Like you could literally go on Google, find the application that allows you access to the dark web.
Oh, okay. See, I'm not like a tech guy like this, so I don't know this kind of stuff.
Oh, I mean, neither am I really. It's just, which I understand. It's not something that you may like be familiar with if you've never looked into it.
Yeah,
Obviously.
or I would be worried about even doing something like that because I would be afraid the government would be like looking at me. See, I get like weirded out with that stuff.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people in the world. The likelihood of them like pinging directly on you, unless you're, I don't know. But Michael, people do fucked up shit on the dark web. I mean, that's just like sex trafficking stuff that goes on there. There's people selling drugs, on like hard drugs, where you could literally get people to send you meth to your house.
Well, yeah, I don't think I have any use for it, to be honest with you, but I don't know anything about it.
Well, it's kind of like journalists and stuff used to use it. Like the intelligence communities use it a lot. It's a way to like interact with people without being monitored.
Wow.
Yeah. Honestly, that's really what it is. It's the unfettered part of the internet.
And how is this allowed?
How is it allowed? I don't know. I mean, allowed? Like just being like shut off people's ability to access it? I don't know. I don't think they want to shut people's ability to access it because I think it's probably also useful for them. And it's useful for them to allow people to kind of do shady stuff so they can watch you. Because they can go in there and they don't need a warrant or whatever. They don't need to do anything. They can just monitor you and then wait until you like break a law out in the open.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it. I'm staying off the dark web. I don't want anything to do with that. Because I don't need it. There's nothing on there that I need to get or need to see.
The truth, Michael, the truth.
You think there's truth on there?
Oh, probably. There's all sorts of wild, crazy stuff. Actually, if you want to, you could just go on YouTube, and there's tons of people that like do videos of them just surfing the dark web looking for crazy shit.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, and then you could kind of give you an idea of like what parts of the dark web are like.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this because I didn't even know it was like that.
I have not. I haven't spent a ton of time on there. Like, because like you, I don't have a utility. I don't have a reason to go on there. Like, so for me to go on there would just be to look for like crazy conspiracy theories or something. Like,
is it like it's like the screen black with like green lights that you type in and stuff?
No, it looks like a very, as far as I recall, a very basic version of the internet.
Okay.
It's very basic. It's not like all flashy and smooth and everything.
No. I thought it was just gonna be like a black screen with like white letters or like green letters.
No, a lot of that stuff. No, a lot of it is like that. Like it's just basic, the most basic form of things. A lot of times, it kind of like it's like being on the internet in like 1999, 2000.
Yeah, that's what I'm picturing.
Yeah, it's closer to that for sure. Yeah.
And when did the dark web come?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know when the dark web became a thing. I'm assuming
because
probably pretty early on.
Wasn't the internet kind of like this in the beginning? The original internet was like the dark web.
It's been around since the 60s, dude. I mean, but our version of it, like what we understand of the internet, is like starts in like the early 90s.
Yes, that version of it was like the original. That was like a dark web.
I would say it's closer to it than what we have, yeah. Because it was just a bold new enterprise. I don't think people it's almost like people had short-sightedness with it and didn't realize like how much it was gonna get into people's lives, into how much of a big part of your life it would become. Like the average person was not thinking about that. Like they were thinking of it as a luxury item. Like it was cool when you knew somebody who had internet access.
Yeah, and you could order Domino's.
Well, yeah, because you're younger than me, so that would have probably been a cool thing. Like, oh shit, it's 2005. I can order pizza online. What the fuck?
No, I think the first one was Pizza Hut in 1994. You could order online.
Probably. It would not surprise me. Yeah, for like major metropolitan areas.
Yeah, nothing. I never grew up with that kind of stuff.
Because we have versions of that now, where if you live in a major city or something, like you can order something off of Amazon, it'll show up to your house within like an hour.
Oh, well, like groceries and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, grocery stores do that shit now too. Even where I live, in like the little town I live, I can get my groceries delivered within 90 minutes.
And
for $10.
Amazon's gonna destroy everybody because Shaun.
Yeah, it's too easy to use.
it's too easy. And then also, so like I'm remodeling my kitchen.
Yeah.
And so if you go into Home Depot or Lowe's, right? Like they got their faucets, they got all their fixtures, everything set there. They may have like one or two, but you can go on Amazon and find like a million, and you can
Yes.
read reviews, and you can get them used like new with 20% off, and
Hmm.
you can get all these things, and you can get, where if you go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you're gonna pay their price for it.
You're gonna pay 30% more,
Yeah,
and you're gonna talk to somebody who doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. And I mean, well, it's like a double-edged sword, right? Because in one instance, like it has made life easier, but because of that, you're going to destroy this entire other industry. And we're all giving power over to Amazon in that way. I mean,
yeah,
honestly, like me personally, I've really tried to back away from buying so much stuff on Amazon and trying to go find the smaller places, even if I have to pay a little bit more. I'll try to go find I buy a lot of movies and stuff,
yeah.
so I'll try to find a smaller site, and I might have to pay a couple bucks more, but I like that smaller site. Like I don't want it to disappear.
But does it come as quick?
No, no, it's a huge inconvenience.
Yeah,
The whole process is even like filling out your shipping stuff and like you're putting your credit card information. It's like a it sucks. It's a pain in the ass.
yeah, but they just have everything on there on Amazon, and it's just way cheaper. It gets here in 2 days.
Yeah.
It's just like it's crazy, and I love to use like new because you get like a great deal on them, and they're basically brand new.
Well, because a lot of stuff, I mean, some of that stuff, it's become more and more from the Amazon warehouse. But like even like 10 years ago, even then, it was a lot of third party sellers on Amazon. They would use Amazon like as a storefront basically, and you could run your business. And that stuff is still there. But what Amazon will do, they have their own used stuff now. So that
Yeah.
is always at the top. That's always at the top.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying like if there's an item, it'll be like used like new. So basically, somebody will purchase it or the box will get damaged.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then you just get it, and it's like 20% off or something. It's great.
Yeah, usually it's cheaper. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying, it's not. There was a time where you were helping out. You could do that and get a deal and like help out a smaller business.
Oh, I
But
see.
Amazon is squeezing all of those people out, or they'll let people put stuff on their storefront, and then they, as a company, will see that it's a popular item, and then just start making their own, and they control the search ranking. So then their stuff comes up first.
Oh, I see.
And like Amazon is so built on impulse. It's so built
Yeah.
on like, oh, that's the thing I was looking for. There it is. Click the link. Buy now. Good. Done.
But with things like Home Depot and Lowe's, I don't know how they're always going to be able to compete because they have like bigger items that you obviously can't just ship from Amazon
Right now.
right now. Yeah, because you're starting to be able to get things. But the only good thing is about like Lowe's and Home Depot is right there. So if you do need something, you can just go and get it.
Yes.
With Amazon, you do gotta wait. But I'm just saying, like Amazon, they're gonna take over those big like Home Depot and Lowe's. I mean.
Yeah. Well, I think it depends where you live too. Certain areas geographically, like they're just used to going to Lowe's. But our generation is so we're
Dude, I'm
okay.
on Amazon, dog.
But like so I'm saying, we're okay with like never stepping foot in a Lowe's again if we didn't have to. Like we're like more primed for that than say like people that are 20 years older than us.
Yeah,
Like
because I don't need to go in there
yeah,
and
we've
talk
got
to like
yeah.
some dude. I can just look up on YouTube how to like if I need to like learn how to do something.
Yeah.
I just go on YouTube. Oh, okay, this is how he does it. Okay, I'm gonna go. Okay, the links. They have all the Amazon links to buy what you need. You just click on them, and it's all set there for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's actually another thing that kind of like intersects with what we're talking about is the fix it yourself people on YouTube. Like
Yeah.
they have wiped out the handyman industry.
Oh yeah.
Those guys can't do anything anymore because they're fucking like most things that people would call somebody for, and like a guy could charge $100 to come fix some little thing at your house, that's not a thing anymore. Because you just go to YouTube and you realize how fucking easy it is, and you just do it yourself.
Yeah.
Like, most people's apprehension comes from, I've never done this before. It's so foreign to me. I don't even know where to start. Well, we live in a world you could literally, like a retard, type in a very specific thing on YouTube, and there'll probably be a video for it. Like, I need to reprogram my water sprinklers, right?
Okay.
Automated water sprinklers. I have like an outdated, they don't make it anymore, system, or the control mechanism.
Yeah.
Dude, I found it on YouTube in like 2 seconds.
The timer.
Yeah, the timer and the way you program it. Like,
Yeah.
I found it in 2 seconds. They don't make it. They haven't made it in 10 years. But somebody had an instruction walkthrough video of how to do it.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
You find everything. Everything is on YouTube. Everything's on Amazon. I don't know if it's good or not good, but I just know that Amazon's significantly cheaper than a lot of these stores.
Yeah, because they undercut them.
By a lot.
Amazon will take a loss for a while until you're used to buying stuff on Amazon, and then it becomes the same price as everywhere else. That's it's usually what happens over time, yeah.
Because I know that they're like killing on price.
I think so. A lot of times, yeah. And now they have these things too, where there's like these little things you can click, be like, get 30% off.
Yeah.
And you click it.
Coupon.
Yeah. They've built. It's such a scam too. Like, because they just do it. It's on sale. They just don't want to announce it's on sale. But if you just happen to be looking for it, and there it is. Because they're trying to, manage their stock, so they're not like listing it as a sale item, but it really is on sale because you can just press that coupon button and you get it for a sale price.
And when Prime Day comes, or like when Black Friday, I mean, it's great. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how other companies are going to ever compete with them. I don't know how they would. I don't know how they can. But I just know that they kill it.
They can't. That's the reality. You're just watching the slow death of brick and mortar stores. Maybe Walmart will survive.
Walmart will, because Walmart has a good website too. If you ever shopped on Walmart.
Yeah, I have. And they're also like, their stores are catch-alls.
Yeah.
They're a store where you can go in and get everything. You can get your groceries,
sometimes
you can get your clothes, you can get your movies, your whatever, your tools, paints.
And sometimes you need to go to a store. Like, there's always going to be a need. Like, sometimes you just need to go.
I would, yeah, probably. I mean, like, to a certain extent, yeah. Until you get used to not caring.
But what I'm saying is, like, what if you just need something? Like, oh, shit, I don't have any milk.
Oh yeah, but at some point, everybody's going to live close enough to a distribution center. Like I said, all the major metropolitan areas, like back in the day, that's where you could order Pizza Hut. You could only order it there. But now you can order it online anywhere. You can live in a fucking small town with 4,000 people, and you could probably order a burger online somewhere.
Oh, you can.
Well, so what I mean is, like, it's only a matter of time before that is also available for everything everywhere. Because Amazon's not going to stop growing. They're just going to keep putting distribution centers everywhere, and towns. It's kind of like the new factories, honestly. Because there's towns all over the place that love it when Amazon on a distribution center comes in. That's like fucking 2,000, 3,000 jobs.
Oh, yeah. They love it.
That's a huge economic boon to the area. I mean, like, that's why everybody was so mad a couple of years ago when AOC, like, ran Amazon out of, like, New York. Because it was like 20,000 jobs she fucked up.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. Amazon's not in New York?
They don't have they were going to build a distribution center there. And it's just like, well, I don't really love Amazon because it's a monolith now, and now it's all encompassing. Now it kind of is a de facto monopoly for a lot of things.
It is.
Because they're just going to squeeze everybody out in the same way that back in the 90s, like Walmart squeezed everybody out. Just slowly. It took like 10 years. But now there's no more Kmart. There's Sears is not really a thing anymore. Like all of these old institutional brick and mortar places, they all shut down. They all went bankrupt because Walmart is so pervasive. And Walmart, they have the capital. They build the fucking Walmart every 5 miles.
Yeah, the only thing that competed with them a few years ago was Target, but who the fuck goes to Target? They're overpriced.
Well, because Target tries to market itself as the classy Walmart. So they basically are appealing to your snobbery. They're
Yes.
and also, and there's the stigma of shopping at Walmart is like a fucking nightmare. I hate going into Walmart.
You do?
I can't stand going into a fucking Walmart, dude. I honestly, like, for a long time, I was like, I will go to Target and I'll pay a little bit more just not to have to go to Walmart.
Yeah, but Target doesn't have the same stuff. Well, it depends. Target has better clothes if you're going for like clothes. But...
Yeah, they definitely have better quality clothes. But no, yeah, depending on what you need or whatever. But like, I would never go to Walmart to go grocery shopping per se.
We
like,
do.
Yeah, well, because it's easy, right? You have 3 kids, and it's just easy.
Well, it's
to
just
go to
easier
one
to get
place.
everything. Yeah.
You go to one place. It's it's convenience. That's why Walmart took over, because Walmart could provide everything in one place, and that's a huge deal. And now Amazon is the kind of the new version of that, where they're just like, we can give you everything. I mean, Amazon is developing a grocery side. They already have like
No, I trust me. You can order groceries.
Yeah, for some stuff, right?
Yeah.
They'll get there with the perishables, though. I guarantee you they will. There'll be Amazon fucking grocery stores, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I can order like vegetables off of there.
Yeah, yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? It's fucking wild. Do you guys have a place that's maybe closer to you? Because I think the closest.
No, well, because it's like Whole Foods that does it on there. It's not Amazon. It's Whole Foods.
So yeah, so Whole Foods is using Amazon as an intermediary.
Yeah, but it's I don't ever do it because Whole Foods is kind of like it's expensive.
Yeah, very expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, but I saw it on there, and I was gonna order like these chia seeds from it, and then I saw like they had like fucking vegetables and stuff, but I ordered chia seeds from somewhere else because they were just overpriced.
Yeah.
I'm all about the price, Shaun.
No, I know that. That's what most people are. I think everybody is, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when you got like a family and you got responsibilities and stuff. You're not there trying to be like, well, I don't want to shop there, so I'll go pay more over here. Like, no, that's not like the reality of most people's lives. Most people are like, where can I get this the cheapest?
Yeah, I actually did some dickering the other day at Home Depot.
Oh shit! At Home Depot in the parking lot?
No, in the store.
Oh shit! What'd you do?
So there was. Have you ever seen like those barn doors that slide? I'm putting a barn door in that slides.
Yeah.
You know where I used to do. You know where I do my podcast in the laundry room.
Mm-hmm.
That door. You see the door behind me.
Yeah.
That door got removed, and instead of that door being there, so there's no swing. It's going to slide. It's going to be a barn sliding door.
Okay.
So they had one of these at sales at Home Depot, but the box was
messed up.
Yeah, the box was messed up, and they had $50 marked off it. So I said to the guy, I said, "Well, would you give me that for $100 instead of the 50?"
Yeah.
And he said, "No, I can't do 100. My manager will never let me."
And this guy's just go ask him.
Well, this guy's the head of the window and door department. So I was like, "Okay, well, if you do 75, I'll take it." And he's like, let me call my manager." And he called his manager, and he's like, "Hey, I got this customer here. He wants this door. I marked $50 off it. He wants to know if I can do it for 75." And the manager was like, "Yeah, get that thing out of here."
Yeah, well, that's like with managers and stuff. Like when you see things on sale or clearance, they're trying to get rid of that stuff, and they want to make at least a little bit of money off of it. So they'll work with you. I remember when I was in Montana with my dad, and he did some dickering with a dude about digital cameras. There's like 2 digital cameras on clearance, and he got them for basically half price.
But that's what you do, and most people would just go in there and be like, "Oh, it's $50 off. I'm just going to get the $50."
I would
and be gone
honestly, with
it.
I would. That would be me. I'd be like, "Oh, $50 off, cool."
But I was like, "Well, why not try to get 100?"
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Good, but that's it. Good for you.
And then I said, "Well, okay, he's not going to do 100, so let's try to do 75." And I was going to take it if it was 50, but I got $25
if ultimately if you got to the end of the conversation and they weren't going to change it, you're still buying the door.
But not that day. I would have came back the next day and got it. So that guy wouldn't have seen me.
You want to? Yes, you gotta save your pride a little bit. Yeah.
Because I was gonna walk out, but
Just go like this. No sale. No sale.
But most people won't do that, but because they think you can't do that in those stores, but you can.
You can
I've seen my dad do that a lot with like discounted stuff like that.
Exactly. Anything that's clearance, discounted, damaged, you most likely could at least ask. And you might have to talk to a manager or a supervisor. You know, if you just pull somebody off the floor, like some random person, they're gonna be like, no.
No, you gotta talk to the manager about it. But once you talk to the manager, they're gonna take some off of it.
Yeah, because they want to get rid of it and make a little bit of money. That's what they want to do, for sure.
They want it off their floor. They want to get rid of it, and you can get it. That's why I love it. I love getting discounted things.
You love the thrill of the hunt.
Yeah, it's the funnest part about buying things.
You ever go? Do you like to go like flea market shopping? Are you a flea market dude?
No, I don't like that because it's all like used shitty stuff. I like buying new things, but getting like a deal with it.
That's when I really get my come in. That's when I really
because like flea markets. I mean, no, I'm not into that because
it's just like some people are just into like antiquing and haggling, and those are places where that stuff's expected. I'm like no good at it because I'm like too like I don't know. I'm like too like maybe I come off as standoffish or something because I'll just be like, hey, can I get would you do $20 for 2 of these? And they'll be like, no, I'll do 23. And I'll be like, nah. Just walk away.
No, I mean, I'm not against, like, going to flea market, but I like getting stuff that's, like, new.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, yeah.
But
you never know. You can find some treasures at flea markets, Mike.
No, you can, but it's just something about getting something like the door that I got. Okay, the box is damaged, but there's nothing wrong with it inside. I know that.
Yeah.
And it's new, or it's like buying used like new on Amazon. You know, it's like I'm getting a deal, but I know it's like they come in the box and there's nothing wrong with them. Like they're brand new.
How fucking stoked are you when you load that into the car and drive away?
When I did that?
Yeah.
Well, I told them.
How stoked were you though? How did you feel inside? Did you feel that sense of victory, accomplishment?
Yeah, I did.
You're just like you probably like had to take a breath, like. Fucking did it again. Did it again. Dickered again. Successful dickering.
No, and I told them I'd take it now, but I actually couldn't pick it up till the morning. So I told them to bring it out front and hold it there for me, and I told them I'd come back in the morning and get it.
Okay.
But she was fine with.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, you told me you were going to take it now." I was like, "I am. I can't right now. I'm going to come back in the morning.
Tomorrow right now.
I'm going to pay you for it now." But no, I was very happy because I got $25 more.
Yeah.
$25.
I say so, yeah. I would be happy too. I'd be stoked.
Yeah.
Love a good deal. I love deals.
And I hunt, dude. I need a dishwasher, so I've been hunting for them.
It's a good place. I'm sure this is very riveting conversation for everybody. But Facebook Marketplace, a lot of good stuff on there. People just trying to get rid of shit.
I go on there too, but dishwashers are kind of one of those things where.
Yeah, because of the mechanical nature of it and the electronics nowadays and the front panels and stuff.
Well, just people aren't getting rid of them on there. Like people will get rid of a stove, refrigerator, but the dishwashers.
Well, because people use dishwashers until they die.
Yeah, that's what I.
You don't like the idea of buying a new dishwasher just because. Not really. No, I don't. I don't have interest in doing that. But I want a new fridge.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I want a new stove.
There's not many there's like good stoves and refrigerators, but as far as like dishwashers go, there's none on Facebook Market. It's not a good place to get it. You got to go, but they have them at Lowe's or Home Depot. Sometimes they're returned. You can get like $200 off.
Yeah, you got to go. Yeah, the dent and scratched ones.
Yeah.
As long as you're just like, if you're okay with a little cosmetic damage, yeah, you get it. Like usually at least a few $100 most of the time.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the times too, if it's on like the side, you're never even gonna see it because it's gonna slide right in.
Yeah.
Same with like a fridge.
Do you guys have a dishwasher at your house?
Well, There was one here, but it never worked. It was from 1980.
Ah, okay.
I pulled that thing out, dude, and it was nasty.
Oh, I can imagine. It probably had not been moved since it was put in.
Yeah, and it was never been replaced. 1980 dishwasher. Just yeah, it doesn't work. I threw it away.
You think like you don't care about a dishwasher. You think you don't care. You're like, whatever. I can wash dishes. There's not that many of us. It's not a big deal. And then you realize.
Yeah, no, you need a dishwasher. I need a good dishwasher.
It's a pain in the ass. It's a huge pain in the ass.
Yeah. So I need to find it. But dude, dishwashers, man, Shaun, they're expensive.
They are. Any home appliance is super expensive. It's ridiculous.
I mean, you can go anywhere from $400 to $1,200 on a damn dishwasher.
Yeah, easy. If not more. Dude, I go all the time because we have a Costco membership.
Yeah.
Go over and look at all because they have all like the new state of the art stuff there for like ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah.
$2,000 fridges, $4,000 stoves. So got some cool stuff out there, man. I tell you, if I had this like that kind of disposable income, I would totally have one of those stupid fridges that has like an app that I could look inside and stuff. I would. I know I would.
Yeah, me too.
I would just consume.
See, here's the other thing they get you on too. If you buy like the bundle pack, you get like a major discount. But I don't have like $4,000, $3,000.
Yeah, exactly. To get the bundle, you got to spend $5,000, but it's like $1,000 cheaper.
Yeah, because you get you get the dishwasher, you get the stove, you get the refrigerator, and you get the microwave.
You get the suite.
But I can't do that. Like I need a dishwasher and I needed the fridge, but I can't get the stove right now.
Yeah.
I can't afford the stove right now. But I do want to. But I'm only going to get a dishwasher if it's the. I'm not just going to go. I need to get a good deal on one.
You will.
Yeah, I'll get a good deal. I
have faith in you.
I'll
go around with a fucking box cutter. Just keep it on the sly, in your hand, and just start cutting stuff at Lowe's. Be like, what about this one? This thing's fucked up. I'll take it though. I'll take it off your hands. Do you a favor.
Well, every time I've been going into those places a lot. I circle back to the appliance and I look and see if they have any up front or any in the back. And the lady at Home Depot is always like, none today.
Sir, stop kicking that. We're not going to give it to you for cheaper. Why not? It's damaged.
But that's what I've been doing, man. It's remodeling. What have you been up to?
Just getting Foster's getting ready to go to school. So a lot of that stuff. A lot of prepping for that stuff. Had a few, family vacations. Went to Stone Mountain, rather.
What's that?
It's that big mountain in Georgia. I got a little cup. I didn't know about it either. I've lived here for years. I had no idea about this.
Is it nice?
Yeah, it's like I got this. You can't really see it because of my office.
Oh, okay, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is my only memento from it, but. Yeah, it's like we went to a campground, stayed in a yurt.
Nice.
But a nice yurt though, not like a real yurt. What's
a yurt?
A yurt, like one of those it's like a fancy tent basically. It's like very sturdy tent. You've never seen a yurt? You've seen a yurt.
I don't know what that is, Shaun.
Just hold on. Yeah, we stayed in the yurt, but it had like air conditioning. So actually, here's a picture of basically the one we stayed at.
All right, let's see it.
It's not exact. It's not the. It's the same. This is definitely from the same place. So let me share a screen here.
Have AC in this thing?
Yep.
Oh,
I wouldn't even go without AC, dude. So we went. I think this is the same campground we went to, but like you're on this big lake over there. You have a porch that goes to your lake. You go inside. Let's look at a picture from inside.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Holy crap.
Oh, that's very small.
Okay, that's like a house.
Yeah, it's like a nice little place.
I mean, you could like live in there.
Yes. Yeah, you could if you really wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, no, like it has electricity, AC.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, no, the worst part about that kind of stuff is like there's no bathroom. Like so you got to walk to like a public bathroom.
Okay.
But, it was fun. We had a good time. We went up there, saw Stone Mountain. which has one of the largest carvings. It has one of the largest carvings of anything in the entire country, like something that's literally carved into the mountainside.
Who did it? Indians?
I don't know. It wasn't Indians. Here, I'll show it. Let's see if I can get a good picture here. And we got to go up to the top of the mountain. Like, that thing is huge.
Holy crap!
Yeah, that thing is huge, dude.
Wow, think
Like,
of the time.
You can't even really get the scale of it, dude, but like...
Is that Abraham Lincoln?
No, it's Robert E. Lee and a couple other
Oh,
Confederate
they're gonna take
soldiers.
down that. They're gonna blast a kin right into
Well,
that.
we went to because they had like a laser show
Yeah.
on the mountain, so they project stuff onto the face of that, and they have this whole thing about like the fallen soldiers of the Civil War. I was like, dude, this is probably like the last time we're actually be able to like see something like that.
Yeah, but why do people have a problem with that?
Because they just project all of their like neurotic bullshit onto everything that's ever existed. That's the little sky cab. So you get to take that from the bottom and you go all the way up to the top of the mountain. You get to walk around the top of the mountain.
Wow.
Very
That's
cool.
like a nice place. Look at that. Look at that big mansion down there.
Yeah, actually, when you're there, you see it and you're like, oh shit, I wonder who the fuck lives there.
Who lives there?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Wow.
Looks like there's some kind of riverboat here. I don't know.
You know what I watched last night? Because I've been feeling a little sick.
Yeah.
And so I was up at like 1 o'clock in the morning. I woke up and I was just feeling crappy. I watched The Outlaw of Josie Wales.
Oh, I haven't seen that in forever.
Dude, like those kind of movies, man, they're just so, like, they would never make those now. Like the lines they have in them are just...
Oh, yeah.
I love cowboy lines.
Cowboy
They're just
movie
like-
dialogue?
Yeah, it's just like man speaking, you know?
Well, especially when you like high quality movies like that.
Yeah,
It's not all cowboy movies are the same. You know, they're not all cut from the
that's
same
true.
cloth.
That's true. But I'm just saying, like, they speak like rough men would speak, I guess. I don't
Yeah, it's overtly masculine behavior.
Yeah.
And it's almost like a novelty to see it nowadays. You're like, oh wow, that guy's not a pussy.
Yeah. I love it.
I was when I watched a couple weeks ago another Clint Eastwood one, High Plains Drifter. Have you ever seen that?
I've seen it, but not in a while.
That's good. That's a really good one. Oh, I mean, I kind of like all of that era.
Yeah,
Especially the Clint Eastwood ones, you know.
Yeah, the High Plains Drifter, is that the one when he takes a girl in the barn
Yes, I think so.
and he like rapes her?
Yeah, kind of, sorta. I mean,
What do you mean, kind of, sort of?
I mean, what do you know? This
That's
is
the
not,
one where he rides into the town and he grabs the girl.
Let me make sure, because I watched a bunch of them like at the same time, so I might be confusing them.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. What do you mean, kind of? That's like rape, isn't it?
Like, well, he like
Nowadays, that would be considered.
somebody says because like it starts off like that, and then she gets into it, so they
Yeah,
call,
she likes it, but
not a true rape scene. That's what this person says on the internet.
what?
That it's not a true rape scene because she gives over.
But they would consider that rape now.
Yes, it is. Like, technically, it is rape. My God, I'm being like a little glib.
Oh, okay. Well, I was gonna say like that he just like grabbed her and like I don't that yeah, like he just took her.
It's a time when men were men. You know.
He just took her and yeah. But in that movie, they had the Confederate soldiers, and Josie Wales is a Confederate soldier that doesn't surrender.
Yeah. And he's the hero character of the movie.
Yeah, but what you realize is that it's just like when you watch I've been like when you watch these, they're just Americans.
Yeah.
That were on the wrong, but they were Americans. They were not Americans.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, people try to like project the broader causes and themes of the Civil War onto everybody that fought in the Civil War, and really it's geography. That was your home state or whatever, and these wars were fought in people's backyards and stuff. Like it's a much more personal thing than I think people give it credit for. So you're not necessarily fighting for like the cause. You're fighting because it's your home. Like
Yeah,
that's
and you
what
weren't
gets
going
you
to
to
be
join.
like, you weren't going to be somebody in Texas fighting on the North.
No.
It's just that was never going to happen. Or if you were in South Carolina or Virginia, you weren't going to be on the with the Federate, the Union.
With the Confederates, no, or
Yeah,
the Yankees. Or
in
yeah.
it, the Union.
Yeah.
You weren't going to
You,
be with them. It's just
no.
never going to happen.
No, because I mean, even just think about it back then, especially. I mean, it's just very tribal stuff.
Yeah.
It's home team mentality.
So when people say this, it's like a lot of people would have done the same thing. You would have just went with,
What was happening around you? Yes.
yeah. You
I
would
mean,
have went.
most of the people that fought for the Confederacy, it's not like they owned fucking slaves or they were plantation owners. Like, no, they were just regular people, just trying
Yeah.
to live, just trying to live their fucking lives.
But my point is like all these people try to make them out to be like these, but they were just. I don't know.
I mean,
I think if a lot of
technically,
people were in their shoes, they would have done the same thing.
yeah, and I think like we have a different perspective of in our country because like they are ultimately your fellow countrymen. They're not just random people from somewhere. Um, but technically, semantically, even like they are technically traitors. We just like for a long time in history because we came together and there was a peaceful ish resolution that we decided that we would respect their fallen and stuff. Just kind of a courtesy thing, honestly. And because you don't want to like you can't like bring people back into the fold and then tell them what like they didn't matter. Like so
Yeah.
that's why I think especially like down south like it's part of southern culture in a way. Like that what happened was. And I don't think most people, at least most people I've spoken to, at least from around here and stuff, they don't it's not about slavery or whatever. Like it's not for most people. That's not how they conceive it, right or wrong. That's just not the way they think about it. But
Yeah, and the other thing too is that like a lot of these people back then, like they were related to, whether they were second cousins or something. There was a lot of people that were related to the people that they were fighting in some way.
yeah, it's kind of brutal. It's brother against brother. I mean, I think it's a little bit. It's like a stereotype of the time, but in a lot of cases, it was true.
Yeah, so it's kind of hard to be like they weren't just random people. They were like family, fighting family.
Mm-hmm.
And so it wasn't just they were just some traitors in the sense of like they traded their country. They did in the literal sense, but I don't know. It was different.
No, because it is different in a certain respect. Like it's not like this clear cut thing. It's not.
Yeah.
And ultimately, like the idea of the South seceding, even if you didn't agree with why they were doing it, they had a right to do it. Like that's part of the deal here. Like they thought their government was overreaching, being
Oh yeah, I
authoritarian,
guess you're right.
and they said no. You might just like I said, you might disagree with the reasons for that, but it's not like that. It's not like a foreign thing to like the way this country was set up and built.
Yeah. Have you ever watched the movie Gettysburg?
Oh, so long ago. It was a long time ago.
I
Yeah,
started watching that when I was in Virginia
it's like
up
Jeff
there.
Daniels, Robert Duvall.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm gonna rewatch that.
yeah, because they have that, and then they had Gods and Generals, just like the
Yeah,
sequel to it. With I think a lot of the cast returned. I know Robert Duvall's in it. I think Jeff Daniels is in it too.
I started watching it, but most people won't watch that kind of stuff with me.
Oh, really? I mean, they're good movies as far as I remember. It's been a long time, dude. And I think you have to, and it's so like a detail orientated. Like it kind of is like they're kind of in depth that you need to kind of be interested in the subject to really get into it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, it's just hard to like get people to watch these old cowboy movies and movies like this.
Yeah,
They
but
don't like them.
though, like once it's if you can get them to watch the first 20 minutes, then you win. Like
Yeah.
a good movie is a good movie, and
Well,
everybody,
I did that with like The Searchers.
yeah.
Oh, they were hooked on that one. I did that with
Which
What else?
The Searchers is way more old fashioned than Josie Wales, like than the stuff that they were making in the 60s and 70s. Like, so if you could get somebody into The Searchers,
Yeah, but The Searchers is a much better movie, in my opinion.
it's that old Hollywood classic, or one of the last of the old Hollywood classics, really, before the 60s started. But um, yeah, I mean, they're so different though. They're such different movies.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I think The Searchers is just a better. It is way different, but
Yeah, but you just prefer The Searchers, right? Well, do you prefer that era of Western more, just like the 40s and 50s Westerns, as opposed to like the 70s stuff?
no, because well,
Like
yeah,
what
I
would you
guess
rather
so.
watch? Would you rather watch something like The Cowboys or The Searchers, or something like The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Oh, the Cowboys or The Searchers.
You would rather watch that than that?
Yeah,
Okay,
because the
yeah,
good and the bad and the ugly, I'm not like, because it's all like, isn't it like dubbed over?
yeah. It's spaghetti Western.
I don't really like when they do that, when they dub the voice.
Well, because you know how they used to make westerns in Italy.
Well,
So
yeah, these,
They, well,
yeah.
they would have international casts, so they'd have casts from all over the world, and nobody spoke the same language. But when you were an actor in the movie, you just spoke your native tongue, and people just learned the script. So you couldn't. So wait, when you were actually, and they didn't film sound. They didn't film for sound because it was cheaper not to, like to go on location and try to fuck with like filming sound. So you would have one guy speaking Italian, one guy speaking French, one guy speaking English in the same scene, all talking to each other. But
Yeah, it's
nobody
weird.
actually understood each other until they would go in for whatever market they would sell the movie to. They would dub it in that language. And then if you have somebody like Clint Eastwood, who was kind of a star on the rise when he did The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, like he did his own dubbing. You know, like
Oh, I see. But see, like, I'm not, like, that one, it's okay, but that's not, like, my favorite one from him.
no, I wouldn't suggest. I think I was just speaking more to like the style. Like you just prefer maybe that like the more traditional 40s and 50s cowboy movies than say like the more like the Italian spaghetti western stuff, or even maybe some of the stuff that was made in the US in the 70s. Like
Yeah,
Josie
yeah,
Wales is what,
probably.
like 1974 or something like that.
Probably. But that's a good one. I like The Plains Drifter. I like that one.
Yeah, that's another really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I mean, I like them all, but yeah, probably, yeah, I probably like those ones better, I would say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand that, especially because like if people haven't heard it, Michael and I talked about John Wayne's last movie. We talked about The Shootist one time, and we kind of talked about this stuff a little bit. But you just have a preference for that stuff because you grew up with it. That's what you watched when you grew up, right?
Yeah, I watched all those. I
Yeah.
watched, and like all those Civil War movies I used to watch
Mhm.
because my dad was really big into the Civil War, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. 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 I mean, for me, like with westerns, like I definitely have a soft spot for like the John Wayne stuff. Um, but it wasn't such a big thing in my house. So I kind of found a lot of the other stuff. I found a lot of this stuff on my own just over the years. So
Okay.
I just don't have like such a strong preference for like one way of doing it or the other. But
Well, I don't have a strong preference either, but I think Josie Wales is a great movie. I
no, of
just,
course, you can still think something is a great movie, but have a preference for like a different
yeah.
style
Yes,
of
yeah.
doing that.
Yeah, and I like a lot of like new like well, not new, but like the ones in like the 90s, I guess.
There's some
Like,
great. Yeah,
like Tombstone, or Open Range. I don't know if that's the 90s or early
that's the early
2000s.
2000s. That was like when Kevin Costner kind of had a mini comeback for a little while. Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's great. Open Range is excellent, actually.
that's a
Robert
great one.
Duvall, Kevin Costner.
So
Um,
I like a lot of those ones too, with with the Robert Duvall and stuff. Like I like a lot of westerns from different
they
genres.
actually had a good run up until like 2012. There was like a decade of like actually decent westerns. I remember,
Yeah, there
like
was.
Tommy Lee Jones was in a couple. Like he did The Homesman, which I think was
Yep.
pretty good. Um, Seraphim Falls. I think that was Liam Neeson and what's his name, James Bond.
Oh, I've never seen this one.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like mid 2000s.
Okay.
I think it was made in Australia.
I never seen that.
Yeah, there was actually. Have you ever seen? There's a couple good ones from Australia. Have you ever seen The Proposition?
No.
Guy Pearce. That's really good. That's from like 2010, 2009. And then there's one I watched a couple years ago. It starred Michael Fassbender called Slow West. That's pretty good.
Never seen it. They
That one's
haven't made
pretty.
a good Western in a long time.
At least that hasn't gotten like wide distribution. Yeah, it's like not in the zeitgeist right now.
No.
It always swings back around though. I bet
It
like
will.
2030s there'll be like a couple big high profile westerns will come out. Um, I was trying to think. I thought there was a few like mini series on Netflix that came out like over the past couple of years that
Nothing
were
that
like
I've seen.
focused on like the Hatfields and the McCoys. That
I don't
was
know.
like
Is it good?
I didn't ever watched it. I think Kevin Costner's in it, but
Oh, really?
yeah.
I've never seen it. You know, the one thing that I have a like with like this whole people making movies and stuff. It's like, why are people like the whole thing with like if you portray something like they were? Did you listen to that Joe Rogan with the producer what's his the guy that makes movies, Quentin Tarantino?
Tarantino, yeah.
It's like people care. Like if you're telling a story in a movie or telling a part of history, why is it such a bad thing to tell the truth?
Yeah, because people think if you represent something on screen that you're endorsing it. Because people are like children now. Like
Yeah,
there's a
but why do you
generation
want to
of
tell something
people
that's not true?
that work in these critical circles where they're gonna be able to drum up this kind of bullshit that are like children. They have the minds of children. And they just think they see it on screen. Oh, that must mean they're saying this is good. Because they actually want to like erase history because don't want people to feel bad. They don't want people to be offended. But if you don't truthfully represent something, you're doing history a disservice. You're doing people a disservice. Like if people can't like have a conceptualization or understand where humanity came from, you can't appreciate how good you have it now. And I think it's like a purposefully done, like to obfuscate this idea that like because people do this all the time. Like they say like, well, it's not perfect, but it's better than it was in like the 1950s. Especially if he's talking about like Jim Crow
Yeah.
and civil rights and stuff like that. But they don't want to admit that. They don't want to say that. They want to act like we still live in a time of dire consequence and people are being lynched and black people being shot every day. Like they want you to just be terrified and think you're living in hell. And but when you get a peek into the past and you really get to see what it was like, you realize like, oh, this is really not that bad. And I think they kind of don't want people to understand that.
Yeah, it's just kind of crazy that like they don't want the truth ultimately. They want to like tell it the way they want it to be told.
Yeah, this kind of comes full circle with the conversation we were having about history. Like, how do
Yeah.
you know about history? Like, things like movies and books and stories, they can help you understand it better because it can put it in a perspective or a prism that is more relatable to you than just reading a textbook. So they can be very helpful and illustrative, and it's only to their benefit if the more true they are. Um, and sometimes, and it's just like they just don't want to do that anymore. They just want everything to be the most virtuous thing it can possibly be because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear this evilness that was back in the past. It hurts my sensibilities.
Or even like Shaun, like he said one of his critics, right? He was talking about his movie and he said one of his critics said it was more of a it was more of like a right wing agenda.
Yeah, because they're projecting it on there. Because they're saying like if you represent masculine characters, if you represent like any type of violence against like a woman or something like that, or because it's fascist, because it's tough. At the end of the movie, the dudes win. I don't know if you seen Once Upon a Time in
Yeah, no,
Hollywood.
I've seen it. I've seen
Okay,
it.
so you have like Brad Pitt's character, who's like the most badass person on the planet as far as
Yeah.
that movie's concerned. They don't like that. They don't like that is represented in a positive light because you're supposed to like that guy. You're supposed to like Leonardo DiCaprio, even though he's a shit. Like, and it's like an affront to them. And the idea that the hippies are the evil or the bad guys, like you had people like bending over backwards to like defend the Manson family. You know what really happened that night? They went over there and they fucking brutally murdered Sharon Tate and her friends. That's what
Yeah,
really happened. In the movie, he did what he did in Inglourious Basterds, where he made like a fantasy
yeah.
ending. You know?
But it's shocking to me that that people want to like have like it's a right wing agenda.
Yeah, because like I said, they just identify anything they find disagreeable as like authoritarian, fascist, or right wing, and it's just a catch-all. It's like they use it so liberally that it doesn't even mean anything anymore. Like the idea that you'd watch a Quentin Tarantino movie and be like, "That's a right-wing movie." It's like, no, Tarantino is just kind of an old school dude. Like that's just how he sees the world, and he's emulating movies that were made at a time period that were more rough, like the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, but I guess like let's say you were doing a character of like a real person in history, and he was like that.
Yeah.
Would that be considered like a right wing
Yeah.
agenda?
People would probably look at it that way. I mean, like, some people would. I think, in my opinion,
Let's say you made a movie
stupid
about
people.
John Wayne.
And you showed him in a positive light?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you just showed him how he was. Like you just try to represent him like the way he was.
You try to represent him as fairly as possible.
Yeah, and he was like a rough kind of dude, and
He was a rough dude. He has, like, some personal things you get into where you might, like, shake your idea of, like, who John Wayne was.
yeah. But would you say it was like a right wing agenda? If let's just say you try to do
If,
it,
if the movie has a positive skew of John Wayne, then yes. Like, if at the end of the movie you're supposed to kind of feel for John Wayne or like John Wayne, then yes. If it's like a hit piece on John Wayne, then no. Depends on your approach.
okay, I guess that makes sense.
Because you can just highlight the bad things, or you can highlight the good things. Like that's your purview as a creator, as a director, as a writer, or whatever. Like you get to go in and pick the pieces that you kind of want to focus on, because you can't focus on everything. So you have
Yeah,
like a 2-hour movie. You can't, in meticulous detail, go through every single thing. So you got to find what you think are the highlights and that are most illustrative of his character. So some people are gonna like look at all the bad stuff, and then some people are just gonna look at all the good stuff. And then there's probably people that mix it up. Like it was a Walk the Line, the Johnny Cash movie.
yeah,
Probably a good example, right? They show you Johnny Cash being kind of an asshole. They show you like his growth as a person and stuff. But at the end of the movie, you're supposed to like Johnny Cash, even though he did some really reprehensible shit and really fucked over his first wife, and and really
yeah.
was a
So would that be
bastard.
considered like a right wing agenda nowadays?
Probably because they would look at Johnny Cash and like, well, you're a misogynist. He's a misogynist. He's a fucking nutcase.
Yeah, see, but I don't think that's like I don't know why that would be like a right wing agenda if you're just trying to tell the story of like how he was.
Because it's not really, but they're gonna say it is. They're just
Okay.
gonna project that because you didn't annihilate his character.
Yeah,
You didn't say
I get
like
it.
at the end of the movie, it doesn't say like he was kind of a bad guy. It's like no, it wants to leave you on an uplifting note. You probably wouldn't make something like Walk the Line today.
Yeah, probably not.
Even that benign, that innocuous, that like just milk toast. Even that would probably be a fucking problem.
That's crazy. Movies wrecked. We have to watch old movies.
Well, we got a lot of them. There's a lot of them out there. So while they still are around, that's why I buy them all. Make sure I have them.
Oh, that's a good idea. See, I don't buy any of them.
You're better off. It's like a nightmare. It's like I'm gonna.
Yeah.
It's like
No, but here's what I was thinking this too. I was thinking this when I was watching Netflix and imagine okay, Shaun, I remember growing up and you only had the movies you had.
yeah, you too.
And
That's why you watch the same 15 movies 100 times.
and if you wanted to get a new movie, you had to buy it, right? But
Buy
now it's like you got Netflix, you got HBO, you got Amazon, you got
It's too
Hulu.
easy. You have too many options, and you very rarely actually appreciate the things that you watch anymore because everything feels disposable. Like back when you were
Yeah.
a kid, that 15 tapes you had, those were special, dude. Those were your movies.
Oh yeah.
That's and like especially like if you didn't have cable or something like that, like you would watch the same fucking movies over and over and over again. I remember being a kid growing up, dude. I've watched like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves like 100 times. Demolition Man like 100 times. Predator like 100 times. Because that's all I had.
That's all you had.
That's all you
Dude,
had.
I remember finding Blade, like in Virginia. I was in like this box, and like we were building the house, and I found Blade,
Oh shit. Good night.
dude, and Shaun Redemption.
Oh, the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, Shaun. Yeah. Oh my dude, I watched that movie like a million times.
Exactly. But you loved it too, and you
Yeah.
know it like it's like part of the fabric of your person. Whereas nowadays, everything is so fucking disposable because there's so many options.
There's just too many.
Like I could sit there for 45 minutes just scrolling around and then get tired and be like, I'm not gonna watch it. Fuck this.
I do that every night because I don't know what to pick.
You know what I started doing? Like find an old movie, like a random old movie, like that you're like, okay, well I know that actor, and just fucking hit play. And you're gonna be like your kids that you try to get to watch cowboy movies. You get 10 minutes in, you're just gonna be locked in, and you're just gonna watch the movie.
I'll have to start doing that because I don't know what to watch because it's like there's so much. I'm like, okay, I looked on Netflix. Now I'm gonna go to HBO. Oh, I looked on here. Now I'm gonna go to Amazon.
Honestly, if I were you, because I think you would actually like really appreciate this, just go watch older movies.
Well,
Like-
I do watch a lot of older movies.
Like
because,
you have like if you got Amazon Prime and HBO,
yeah,
there is a fucking deep bench of classic movies on those. Like you gotta watch The Treasure of the Sierra Madre, dude. Like you gotta watch that. That's a Michael movie. You're gonna fucking love that movie, dude. And we're gonna talk about it when you watch it.
okay.
But like, cause you're gonna fucking love that movie. I just know it. I just know it in my heart. Like you're gonna like that movie. Humphrey Bogart, dude. These guys out in the California and Mexican desert looking for gold. And they fucking getting in fights with each other and shit because they don't really know each other. They're just like in this agreement because they're all gonna mine for gold together. There's like fucking Native Americans out there, and there's other bandits and shit. It's a great movie.
And dude, you know what? The other thing that's crazy too about old movies is Native Americans. Like in modern movies, I don't know if they can't find Native Americans, but they don't look the same as they did back then.
Oh, Michael, because a lot of the lead roles were just white guys in paint.
No, like the one in Josie Wales.
Well, yeah,
That guy's like a real Indian.
yeah. Especially by the time you got to the 70s, like they definitely were trying to make more of an effort to hire real Native Americans. But like you go watch like the fucking Searchers, like the main guy.
Yeah, he's like,
It's like
a
a
white
dude in like brown face. He gives a good performance. Don't get me wrong, but like that ain't gonna fly like, anymore. I don't know. Like, well, they also don't like to touch on those subjects anymore because people are so sensitive about them. And you know what's actually a really good one? It's actually like a Civil War-ish one. Hostels. Did you see that? Christian Bale.
Yeah.
He's bringing the Native American prisoners like across the frontier.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I seen that. But I hyped that movie up so much in my head.
The trailer very misleading.
So it was a good movie, but I thought it was gonna be like.
The trailer made it look like a fucking wild cowboy movie.
Yeah.
And it's not. It's like a slow, thoughtful character piece about people trying to make this transition period in America.
Yeah, and it was a good movie. Like I'm not gonna say it was a bad movie, but I thought it was gonna be. Oh, you know what's a really good one? It's 3:10 to Yuma. Great cowboy fucking movie.
Well, it's a remake of a great cowboy movie. First of all,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you've never seen, the old one's fantastic too. That's like a classic 50s B Western. Kind of in the same way that Tombstone is like a classic B movie from the 50s. Like it has that same feeling. And that's why you respond to it so positively like I do. Like, dude, not even that long ago, we did an episode of Zoobox Goes to the Movies about Tombstone.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, because I just got so into watching it. Like I watched it like 5 times in like 6 months.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I just kept watching. I don't know why. That's really was into it. It's a very flawed movie. It's a great movie. Like when you go, one of the things about Zubbox Goes to the Movies that sometimes sucks a little bit is because you go in there with like an intense critical eye because you're like, oh, I really want to talk about it. I want to talk about it seriously. And you can kind of fuck movies that you thought you really loved a little bit because you're just like, oh, maybe this actually does have a lot of problems.
Well,
But it's okay though, because like Tombstone is a movie that, in spite of its problems, is still a great movie.
yeah, Tombstone's like one of those movies where it's some of like and I don't know, I haven't seen it in a while, but I remember it's like some of the acting is kind of a little bit
See, I think if
cheesy to me.
you went back and watched it now, you would love it. Because
You
it's
think
like,
so?
yeah, because those guys are having a blast. Like
No,
they're
not
having.
that I think it was bad, but just I don't know. I would have to
There are definitely people in that movie that are better than others, but it's clearly that they're having like fun playing their characters, and that is like kind of infectious in a weird way. I would
yeah.
say one of the stronger elements of the movie is the performances. Like
Well, I love the guy that has the goatee, the guy with the red hair.
Howard or the red shirt.
Yeah, no, the guy with the red goatee, the
Oh,
doctor.
the doctor.
That's the guy that has the cup and he spins it around, puts it in.
Oh,
The guy that gets sick.
yeah, he doesn't have red hair. That's Doc Holliday.
Yeah, doesn't he have a red mustache?
No, just a
Oh.
black mustache.
Oh, I thought it was red.
Yeah, he has tuberculosis. He's a real person. Doc
Are you
Holliday.
sure he doesn't have red hair?
Yeah, I'm positive.
Okay, I thought he had a red damn mustache.
No.
A goatee.
There's the guy that's like the Michael Biehn, the guy from Terminator. That's like the other gunslinger that works for the bad guys.
Yeah, I know him. He's good.
He's got kind of a reddish mustache. Then they have the guy that's like wears the red shirt. He's like the head of the bad guys. Powers Booth. He's great in that movie. Kurt Russell's always fucking good in that. Bill Paxton's great in that movie. Everybody's great in that movie. Actually, the people that are kind of the weak links are the women.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I didn't want to say that, but
yeah,
the main girl, the ones that she rides like the horse sideways.
the actress,
Yeah.
she's awful. She's not good in that movie.
That's
every scene with her in it and Kurt Doug or what's his name? I just said his name.
I don't know.
Kurt
Russell.
Kurt Russell. Every scene there, she actually makes him a worse actor.
That's what I was gonna like. She's the one that I don't really like.
Yeah, and she, maybe in fairness to her, like, just her part is not that great. It's just not a great part. It's kind of a thankless role. You get to be the harpy, the homewrecker. Yeah, that's ultimately what she is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen the other one? The other one that's like, you ever seen Wyatt Earp?
Yeah, I've seen Wyatt Earp.
Because those were like competing Tombstone movies.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Kevin Costner plays Wyatt Earp. Kurt Russell plays Wyatt Earp. It's the same like story basically. If you haven't seen it's I actually watched them very close together.
See, I haven't seen these movies in a long time.
Well, I'd definitely give Tombstone another go.
I'll go. I love Tombstone. Trust me.
That's
I used
really
to watch
fun.
that movie all the time when I was a kid. I loved that.
I used to watch it all the time as a kid too. I used to watch it with your brother, and your brother would do the thing that your brother does, and just like, oh, that's so fake. Oh, that's so fake.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be fake. It's a damn movie.
Because they'd be like, somebody would shoot a gun, and then the glass wouldn't break fast enough. He'd be like, oh, this is so stupid. This is so fake. I'm like, what are you? Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
I don't pay attention to stuff like that.
No, your brother.
No, I know.
He just wants to hate on everything. He's like, oh, are you enjoying that? Let me tell you why it's bad. But yeah, definitely. I gotta revisit some cowboy movies, dude. But listen, I know I've told you like fucking 10 times over the past year. You gotta watch The Treasure of Sierra Madre. I would be so excited. It's on HBO Max.
Okay, Treasure of Sierra Madre. Okay.
It is.
Okay, I'll watch it. No, I am gonna watch it. I forgot to watch it, and then I have to that's the movie I gotta watch alone because.
Yeah, I'm just giving you shit. Actually, you know what? That's another movie like The Searchers or something. Once the kids got locked into it, dude, they would fucking just sit there and watch it.
Okay.
It's kid friendly. I mean, it's 1948 or whatever.
Yeah, no, like the kids will probably watch it. It's just a lot of the times. Well, right now I haven't been watching movies till later at night because I've been working and stuff.
Yeah, I got
But yeah, I'll watch it.
All right. Well, I think that's a podcast, Michael. We did it. We actually, I thought we were going to go short. I was like, oh, we'll probably talk for an hour. It's just the two
Me
of us.
too.
So now here we are, almost 2 hours in. All right, everybody, thank you so much for listening this week. We'll see you guys next week. This has been Zoobox, a podcast about nonsense, much of which you've just heard. And if you'd like to know more about Zoobox, everything Zoobox, there's a bunch of links in the description for Facebook, Instagram, my Twitter, Dan's Twitter. Also, there's a link to Dan's other podcast that he does with Maverick Buckley, longtime fan of Zoobox, one of our most dedicated fans. They have like a podcast where it's mostly about social politics and political stuff. So, and they're doing very well over there. So
yeah, they won't be talking about cowboy movies.
They won't be talking about cowboy movies. What a bunch of fucking suckers.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, have a good week. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.